Welcome back to Le Foot, your podcast about French football. And since last, Le Bleu has entered the chat and beaten both Brazil and Colombia in the US. What teams actually stand between our French players and the World Cup trophy? Meanwhile, in Marseille, OM is about to present a new club badge. Is it horrible or a smart move? We bring it to you. Club of the Week is Lens, and we look ahead to the weekend with fresh predictions for Ligue. On y va.
All right, we're back to you on another Thursday. I think we spoke last time Thursday as well, right?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday, though.
It is Wednesday.
Yeah,
the weeks are flying by, but
happy to be back.
Happy to be back, and I think like going forward, we do plan to do these episodes Monday and get them out to you Monday, but. For several reasons they have been on other dates, but anyhow, nice to be back and nice to be here at the basement again.
Finally here in the basement. And things have happened. I have to take the temperature on you guys because even though we follow French football and it's a big part of our football heart, Sweden, our country, went through to the World Cup yesterday. Dramatic game against Poland, but now we will have our dear Sweden in the World Cup, and that will be fantastic. What's your take? How does it feel, Dennis?
Yeah, it feels amazing. I saw the highlight of Gyökeres goal. It looked a bit fumbly there in the box, but yeah.
But he's turning out to become like a national hero, Gyökeres.
Yeah, and that was probably the only highlight you could see of him also, because he didn't produce that much apart from the goal. But
and Sweden didn't, honestly, I don't think they did a great game. But what does it matter when you're in the World Cup? It's a fantastic achievement by this group of players who have been struggling a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, we know the background to it. The qualification ahead of these games were awful. So just that we get the chance because of previous Nations League, who even gives us this chance to, play in this extra kind of playoff. Great. And I read this morning that, just a matter of character to Potter, Graham Potter, as many of you might know from the Premier League, and Sweden before that, who's now the head coach of Sweden, a matter of character to his leadership is that before the game, he had asked, the wives and kids and family, etc., of each player to send in a video for them to watch before the game, to create that kind of, community or,
togetherness.
Togetherness between the players and just what this means and to stand up for each other. And I think that was really reflected in the game as well, and what we see in the previous game against Ukraine as well. So it's a great watch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, enough of that.
We need to move to another national team, our dear Les Bleus. And they have had two matches since last time. And I think we should start with the first one versus Brazil, because that was the A-team playing.
And the first out of two games.
The first out of two games. Then we're going to get a bit to Colombia. But I think the Colombia match was more interesting from who can perform apart from the starting, the main 11. And I just want to mention here, it was a good game, France-Brazil. And I think two good goals, two ships over the goalkeeper from Mbappé and Ekitike.
Yeah.
And,
but I think it's interesting to start with there, because we had a discussion last week, and the three of us all said, we said our thoughts on which player or which players are going to play.
Yeah.
And I think we were somewhat accurate up top. I mean, with Olise, Mbappé, and Dembélé.
Yeah.
And that's also what we saw. Formation-wise, perhaps a bit off. Playing four at the back. And
Gusto in.
Yeah, Gusto in, but also, Saliba not being available.
Yes,
He's probably going to replace
someone
of Konaté and Upamecano. But anyhow, we have at least those top three up front. And Hugo on the left.
Yeah, and that one was a bit surprised, and I think it seems like he fitted very well into that formation, because somehow we actually only picked the Olise, Mbappé and Dembélé last time, but somehow Deschamps has managed to fit in Ekitike, and what a performance. And a great goal as well on assist from Olise, but he showed that he wants to be in that starting 11, and I think that's just great for the team overall to have hungry players showing they want to take a spot in a star-studded 11. But also one thing we talked about, Rabiot should not be in this best 11 for France, and he was there. And Kanté of course came in later. Let's see how they form this midfield.
But I think that might change. But he did play the same formation in both games, even though he swapped out the 11 entirely. But looking at their proper midfielders compared what they can actually play up front, I think we might lean towards this kind of formation, so he can play with he can play with 4 of so many selection up front, I mean, considering what they had in the first game, Olise, Mbappé, Dembele, Ekitike, he has speed on every position, right?
Yeah.
But depending on the opposition, I mean, I think Cherki could be definitely one of those.
Yes.
He also had a great game in towards Colombia. So, but I think we might lean towards this formation, and then who's going to be behind? If it's going to be Kanté or Rabiot, I mean, I guess.
And I think one thing that because France, I think they performed well overall. It's easy to forget that also in the 55th minute you had Upamecano with the red card, and they actually played 10 against 11. Still went up 2-0, and then of course conceded. But I think with 11 men, I think France would have probably won this by 2 or 3-0. That's my feeling. And you have to think it's against Brazil. It's actually a test, and they did it great. But was there any players in the second match against Colombia which you think made a case for being in the starting lineup?
I'm just thinking something here before that. It was interesting to hear Ancelotti. I think if it was before or just after the game, he was saying that the team that's going to win the World Cup is not the team that's going to score the most goals. It's the team that's going to concede the least. And
he might be right.
He might be right on that, but is Brazil going to be able to be the team that concedes the least amount of goal in the World Cup by looking at the 11 they put up against France, who's most likely going to be their first 11?
They need to find something as a squad and as a group very fast, if that's going to be the case, I think, because player by player, I don't think they are fully there. I think they have some spicy options up top, Brazil, but comparing to France, I think France definitely looks more solid. And other teams as well has better defenders, other countries. But it will be super interesting. And I think for me, I take with me one player, and that is actually your pick, Dennis. You wanted Doué into this 11, and he did a stellar performance against Colombia. 2 goals.
Man of the match.
Man of the match. Yeah, what a performance! And he's making a case for it, which is interesting given that Ekitike was fantastic, and I think they're competing.
Also man of the match.
Also man of the match. Yeah, so it's a luxurious problem, right? It's a luxurious problem. But overall, I mean, Les Bleus can wrap up this international friendly section with their heads held high and a calm, happy environment. I saw some clips also from the dressing room between first and second half, France-Brazil, and I think Deschamps. It's interesting to watch him speak because he has won everything, right? Both as a player and then as a manager. To see how he's motivating, how he's talking. He's being quite clear. I think that's a strength of his. Direct in communication to some players or to the group. But overall, happy days for the French national team. Hopefully no injuries now leading up to the World Cup. That would be... could change things.
Yeah, and on the topic of Deschamps, I think that's another thing on top of the great players they have that talks for France performing well in the World Cup. He's been there for a long time, and the squad now, they know him well. He's been in France for guess how long? He's been coaching France now.
I want to say 10 plus years. I don't know, between 10 and 12.
Dennis?
I'm going to say 8. I don't know.
He's been there since 2012, so about 15 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
And This got me thinking yesterday when I was just looking at this, and then I checked up if there's any other coaches in terms of national team who's been there longer. And there has been 2 other coaches who's been in their national teams longer, but not as exotic. It's, if you know these guys, is Luc Holtz for Luxembourg. He's been there since 2010. And then Koldo Alvarez. He's been also since 2010 for Andorra.
Oh,
But okay. But listen, that's what we in Sweden call blueberry nations in football, right? Like tiny nations, and but I mean, for Deschamps to stay there that long, and he's been in a Euro final, he's been in a World Cup final, 2 World Cup finals, won 1. And then last time they lost against Argentina in a great match. But it shows he has definitely something to be that long in a very tough job with one of the best squads there is. There has also been a bit of discussion I've seen online about whether this is the best setup, the best squad for a national team in history. And I think when it's so much like these days that people always think everything is the best in history. So it's easy to forget. My head instantly goes to Spain, 2010. I mean, when they won the Euro 2008, World Cup 2010, and then Euro 2012. They had David Villa, Xavi, Iniesta,
Fernando Torres
as well,
Puyol, Sergio Ramos, Casillas,
Piqué.
insane squad.
Insane. That I mean, given our age and what we have, watched football, that has to be mentioned. And another
but
one,
also 2 completely different teams in
2
how they
completely
play.
different teams, yeah. And I also want to bring in Brazil 2002 with Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Roberto Carlos, Cafu. I mean, amazing players throughout the whole squad.
Dida in goal.
yeah, Dida in goal, but also France. 1998 when Deschamps was playing, because you had Zidane, Thuram, Henry, Trezeguet. I mean, Henry being young then and not even, they are not that dependent. Imagine the squads we've had over history. Older people can even bring up old school Argentina.
Yeah, and even though they never won anything, I think it wasn't like England 2006. You had like Vidic, not Vidic. You had Ferdinand, Terry, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Owen, Beckham,
Rooney, yeah,
Siemens in goal.
Siemens, with the ponytail, looking like a Rufflin.
Yeah.
But legend Siemens. No, but yeah, exactly. That's a fantastic squad as well. But they didn't manage to put it together.
Nah,
I feel that the difference with
is
these.
That when they lost against Germany when Lampard scored a goal that should have been a goal? Was that 2006?
That was 2010.
Was that 10?
So in South Africa. Yeah. When it was in the crossbar and hit inside the goal. Yeah. No, so there's been great squads. I want everyone to remember that when they start thinking about best of all time, because they see something great right here, right now. And maybe if they win 2 World Cups in a row, this French team, you could argue. But I think, and of course, the crazy thing is, you have Mbappé here. He has already won the World Cup. Same with N'Golo Kanté.
When he was like 18.
He was young. Yeah, he was young. And so there is routine in this fantastically talented squad, even winning World Cups. And several of them have also been in the final and lost against Argentina. So there is plenty to take from.
And when it comes to the squad, I mean, we had in the first game also Magnan, who plays for Milan, standing playing against Brazil, which is most likely gonna be Deschamps' number 1 pick going into the World Cup. But then also, I don't know to say surprisingly, but like in the second game they played samba. So I mean, Lucas Cavalier,
Ligue represent Rennes.
Yes. But then I mean, like Lucas Cavalier, who was supposed to take the next step and be the number 1 going into the World Cup, playing for PSG this season. I mean, he's not the first, the second. And people have said he might not even be the third. I mean, Risser from Lens might be the third going into the World Cup. Yeah. And he's not playing for PSG. So, I mean, we have spoken about this before. And he's not fancied either in the national team. Yeah, and to be honest, as it stands, I don't think he should be there for the World Cup. No. Bring back Risser. Bring in Risser. The Rissler. And then, just for those who don't know yet, France will be playing in Group I think it's L or I towards Norway, or in the group with Norway, Senegal, and then Iraq.
They should come with 3 victories. I feel, hands down, because maybe Norway with Haaland. No. Nah.
I think there will be maybe 1 goal scored against France throughout these games.
Which country would you bet on scoring that one group goal?
I think Haaland.
Haaland, yeah, maybe. Beating Maignan on a...
Yeah, I think that's,
Tap in.
Well, maybe 0. News in from Ligue 1. You have Désiré, new manager for Tottenham.
He has another job.
Apparently he's getting a lot of money as well.
A sinking ship, that. Do you think he's going to turn it around?
I'm not sure if he's coming in straight now, or I guess so. Because, I mean...
Tudor left.
Yeah, exactly, with permanent effect. But I'm just thinking, like, so we have the Serbi, he's doing great for Brighton a couple of years ago. He goes to...
Shakhtar, was it Shakhtar Donetsk?
Yeah, or like Ukraine or something like that. And then because of the war there, he goes to Marseille, has a great spell for like, 6-9 months or something like that. And the last month, like, everything goes against his way. They go out the Champions League, they lose a couple of must-wins back home in France, go out the coupe and everything. And now he takes a job for Tottenham, who I would like to say is like, it's cursed.
It's a total crisis. Total crisis. It's not, because I think it's good that you highlight that he had a great spell at times in Marseille, but then we have followed closely to see that unravel with terrible losses and up and down results throughout this winter. And for him then to have the mental capacity to head into, I think, Europe's biggest crisis team of this season. I think it's when you look at the top leagues in Europe and you have Tottenham there, I mean, he is at risk of managing a championship team in after the summer. So he must be dedicated to whatever is waiting. But it's interesting. And another new thing that we have. Lens supporters should not be happy because their voices was not heard when it comes to the switcheroo of matches here in the schedule. And Liverpool supporters as well. You have PSG getting the extra rest, as we discussed in the previous episode, the decision. And it's not unexpected, though. We expected the decision to stand from the LFP. But it is what it is, and we have reasons probably to revisit this in the past, in the future, I mean. Another thing that has come. OM, Marseille. A new badge will be unveiled. Boys, first of all, I think any listener should Google Marseille new badge to have a view of how it looks. They're going to present it soon, I have heard. And I just want to hear your initial thoughts here. Jeff, Dennis, what do you think about the new badge?
So I think for you that have not seen the new badge yet, I mean, there's a change, yes, but it's not that much of a change. But for me, the new one, I don't know why, but I just think about Schalke. It's just the same kind of blue, dark blue font, who just reminds me of Schalke. So I don't know, I just get Schalke vibes. And I guess it's also one of those things that people does not always like change, at least not initially. And me initially, when I see this, looking at it right now, I think it's not for the better.
No,
I agree. I think the prior one or the current one is more majestic.
For sure.
It's more, I feel like that one has more of a royal sense, a royal stance in a way, and the new one feels like a car brand.
You know what? It reminds me about this MG. You know this car brand, MG. You know, And I can just add on to a bit here that the reasoning I've understood and read to here is that the goal and the aim here is to bring the club's branding into the digital age and, create a new future for OM. And I'm perplexed by this decision.
How does this new badge, kind of embark them into a new digital age?
But I think that's a valid question. I think we need to stop there. I think that this is... I'm no strategist on football club branding, but knowing my fair share of branding, I think that one thing that is very hard to build is authenticity and history. And changing the club badge like this, it risks both those values. They're changing the color. You had a point there. I don't think the new color feels very much Marseille. It should be the light blue one. And if you look, Marseille, they have changed like any football club badges over the years. But I think this one is too far of a change in terms of color. In terms of the M, I completely agree that the old one, the current one, it shows history, majesticness, like a pearl by the Mediterranean Sea, if I'm allowed to be a bit romantic. I think the new one is like a car. And this, if we look at the history, in the 90s, Marseille had some fantastic club badges. I mean, the one between 96 and 98 is just remarkable. It's quite similar also to the one they have right now, even though it's more of a modern version. But I think that this is taking it too far, and I think it's so boring. But back a bit, Jeff, to your point. Do you think there is any gain football club-wise? Do you think you become a better football club by having a more modern badge?
I think as long as you improve something for the better, I mean, it's an improvement, right? But in this case, it's not. And a few episodes back, I think, we discussed a lot on what Ligue needed as a league in whole to... Since they've had their ups and downs and more downs recently in terms of getting cash for the league, sponsors, etc. To get that people getting curious about the league and starting to follow it better. I think we all kind of concluded on the fact that they need to highlight the history they have, which is, I mean, they have a big history, the league itself. But I'm not saying that this is what's gonna divide them from taking a step towards history or becoming more modern. But I also think it's like a take in the wrong direction there, because I don't see Marseille's fan base getting bigger for them now getting this new badge. I'd rather see Marseille and their supporters being from Marseille or around there, being built from generation to generation. And that comes with history, not by changing the logo to the worse.
No, I completely agree. And I think when you think about Marseille as the kind of city and the kind of football club, I also think it's significant that the M kind of stretches out of the circle. It shows that the club is big, it's hard to contain. And maybe that's been a challenge for the club, of course, over the years with the heated passion, etc. But having this circle, this looked like it could be a third division team in, I don't know, in Sweden. It's not something that I want to give like my take on this. Of course, there could be strategists. I could discuss this with anyone if they would like to argue. But honestly, I think a football crest or football badge should be changed to the minimum. I think it's an evolution over time, unless you actually communicate that this is a limited one, we're going to keep it for 1 or 2, 3 seasons, and then we go back towards where we were. I don't like at all big changes, and this for me is too big. We have another club in Europe. We have a few clubs. Juventus changed from the classic logo with the horse to the New York Yankee-looking inspired J, and I just think it's too much. It's too much. I don't know. This is not... Football is also a lot about history. And maybe I'm being very traditional here, but I would like to sit down and talk with these guys about why change too much in one go. Let it be an evolution together with the history and the fans and the club itself, not branding strategists. It's not like you're changing the look of a Coca-Cola bottle here.
No.
It's a football club.
But this is not specifically when it comes to the logos of the club, but all clubs are going to, I don't know, they try to just monetize, I guess, the brand they have as a club, if it's either to change the logo, to in some way attract people that are interested in the sport in some way to get more money, or if it's because they're selling the name of their arena to, you know, a sponsor. I mean, we have a lot of examples for that. I mean, I know Everton, for example, they have now, you know, the Hill Dickinson Stadium, like a lawyer firm that's a partner to the club. I mean, the clubs are completely selling themselves out.
Yeah, and they are, and we as supporters and followers of football, in a way, it feels like we're just here to watch and follow this development. But since we have this platform and opportunity, I think it's good that we speak our mind. Everton is another club I think who's changed their badge over not recently, but it has developed, and I don't think always for the better. And I think there is also good examples. Of course, we changed the badge a little bit. I know also Manchester City changed it. Now it's quite some time back, but I prefer the older one, the classic logo. And of course, do you think that it's a strategy to make some retro jerseys with the old logo and still like use it, but for the main one to be like on I don't know, Facebook, Twitter? Maybe there's something like this in there as well to sell more shirts. And
I like that. I like the retro shirts. Just to bring us back to what we discussed earlier in this episode, Sweden, their away shirts in blue, they're not, I mean, they look retro. They're not that retro shirt, but like they look retro, and I really fancy them.
yeah.
And
the new one now for the World Cup, you mean?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I think you see it in a lot of these charity games that the teams host. Like they always, you know, somewhat play with some kind of charity.
Yeah.
Not charity, retro shirt, and I like that.
Yeah, I think retro shirt in all its glory, but don't mess up the badges. That's my main take, because that's one beautiful thing that we have.
Have you heard? Did you read anything on Twitter from like a Marseille supporters perspective on their takes in regards to this?
Yeah, I've followed that a bit, and it seems to be, of course, a lot of negativity and complaints about this. But I also did see a few maybe crazy positive comments. That is maybe a good thing, and maybe it can promise a brighter future. I don't know, but I mean, the overall majority that I've read, I can't speak for their supporters, is not happy at all. And listen, you can always go to yourself. I would be furious if my club would change their badge in this drastic manner. It will feel, you know, like it moving in more plastic and discarding history, not recognizable. I would be furious.
Club of the week. This week we have our number 2 spot, Lens, and Jeff is going to present this amazing club.
Thank you for that, Dennis. And I realized before writing a few interesting things about Lens ahead of this episode that we are running out of clubs.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. We're going to have to start taking player of the week or something.
Yeah. Let's see what we bring after the club of the week. So player of the week, Ligue 2 top clubs, perhaps.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting now, actually.
Yeah, it's heading into a tight ending there in Ligue 2, but you're right, not many left. We can hint that we have yet to do club of the week for both PSG and Marseille. So 2 hot ones.
2 hot ones
remaining, and Lorient, not as hot, but
all right. But smaller club in terms of what people like. People don't know them as Marseille or PSG, but they have a big history, and they are a famous club, even though it's like a small city club. They're called les hommes et or, which means blood and gold. And gold comes from the fact that Lens is historically like a mining town. So a lot of the families back in the days were miners. So therefore the gold. And then the blood, I guess that's up to your own imagination. They were working hard, or they were getting punished for not working as hard.
Yeah. And I know that they had a terrible mining accident around there in the past. I think it's many years ago now, but I know that Lens sometimes pay tribute to the victims because the town. Yeah, but like you say, town very much coupled with the mining industry.
Yeah, and their arena is called Félix Bollard, and he was the manager for the mining company. So he had massive influence. Being a part of this club in the early stages, getting their arena, which still stands today, and just some other nice, interesting facts about Lens. They won the league year 97 to 98, and the coupe the year after. So they have trophies in their cabinets, apart from Désiré and Tottenham. So they have the history there, but I mean, comparing them to their neighbors, Lille, it's Derby of the North, them two against each other. People usually say that Lens has the passion, but Lille has the money, and Lille also has a bigger trophy cabinet compared to Lens. And also that they could be similar to the Stoke of France in terms of their cold weather.
So instead of on a rainy night in Stoke, we should do on a rainy night in Lens.
Yes.
I like it better.
And Félix Bollard, the stadium, you sit very close to the pitch.
I love it.
Yeah, that's
love
great.
it. That's how it should be.
Yeah. And the arena takes about 35 to 40,000 spectators, whereas the city is about 30,000. So,
wow! But then it's the surrounding area as well. I think
suburbs,
it's a provincial town club. Yeah,
it's a matter of principality, I guess, in how you count that. Where all the farmers come into town to watch, and they have Raphael Varane, who started in the Lens Academy. Even Eden Hazard has been there as a youth player, but people might recall him coming from Lille, like before going to Chelsea. So he obviously left, if you could say, Lens, the smaller brother, to Lille, the bigger brother, before taking the bigger step out to the Premier League and the world stadiums.
It's been a while since I thought about Raphael Varane, actually. He was a hefty defender for Real Madrid, stable.
Yeah, famous for his pace.
Yeah, pace.
Him and Ramos had a good run, but he had injuries going back to back, right?
Yeah. And I think he was like the calmer. Ramos had the temper. Varane was the calm one. And but they won a lot. The Champions League trophies.
But who was the calmer between Pepe and Ramos then?
Oh, I like Ramos. I have a soft spot for Ramos. He definitely took some red cards in his career. But Ramos calmer than Pepe. Pepe like a madman. Have you seen the one where he kicks someone laying down in the back?
Messi?
No, it's not Messi. Could be in El Clasico, I don't know, or some La Liga game. There is an old clip of Pepe. He is furiously with the studs kicking someone in the back, laying down, and that's when you realize he is out of his mind, you know. But I don't know. If you're walking in a dark alley and you're jumped by 10 people, who do you want next to you, Pepe or Ramos?
Pepe.
Yes.
I don't know.
And then just a final one for Lens. They beat Arsenal in the Champions League.
Why do you bring that up? you found some random victory against Arsenal in the Champions League.
Oh, like damn!
No, but that's just a statement of how great the club is.
You just love that. That's the most random line in Club of the Week so far. You're bringing that they beat Arsenal. Okay. Yeah. Acceptable.
You could have PSG next week, and then you know what you can say.
Yeah, we're gonna talk down PSG Liverpool quite a lot. We're gonna dig into every single error made by Szoboszlai. Every poor pass.
Yeah, he's probably gonna play right back now since Frimpong went out injured again. Now yesterday. Yeah.
Mediocre. Szoboszlai.
He likes to score free kicks against.
Yeah, that's one thing. Marseille knows all about that. Okay, upcoming weekend, Ligue, hotter than for a long time, and we have Derby du Nord. We talk about Lens for Club of the Week, but now on Saturday, 9:05 Central European time in the evening, we have the Lille Lens. Derby, springtime. It's very hot as well. Lens needs. It's very hot in the title race. They need 3 points. Lille needs 3 points for the Champions League chase. And what can we expect here? I mean, do you think it's going to be a tight game? What do you expect in terms of match?
I mean, as you said, a derby always comes with a lot of factors, and both teams coming into this game with a strong track record, at least in the league, and home advantage always something that gives you know, that tilts the favor towards your end going into the game, and this will be a real test for Lens going into this game as perhaps a favor, considering the season they had. So yeah, it'll be a great watch, and I can't, as of now, Wednesday, a couple of days ahead of this game, really decide on who I think will win. But Lens needs to win to, keep the pressure on PSG for sure.
But it's gonna be super interesting. I think looking at the squad, of course, you have the usual suspects in Lens that you expect to perform: Thauvin, Sangaré, Edouard. I think it's gonna be a really interesting one. I know one thing that's gonna bug them a little bit is that Said is out injured for Lens, which, I mean, he has been super this season. If we look a bit at the head-to-head, I mean, you had a match in the autumn in September, and that's when Lens won with 3-0 versus Lille. But I think you have a point, Jeff. The home advantage in a derby should not be underestimated. Last season, Lille took both matches. They actually won at home 1-0 and then away 2-0. So it's statistically definitely in favor of Lille. They have over the last 15 games or so, they have 9 victories, 4 draws, and then Lens have won 3. So it's a tricky one. I would say Lens is the better team, but history plays its part. And Lille, they have catched on as well, tempo-wise. I think been doing good recently. And super interesting one. A tight one to call as well. I would say, if anything here, I think both teams are going to score. That's one thing. That's a prediction you can take with you.
And both teams have had few, or if any, contributors in the national games who's been playing the last couple of days. So both will have fresh squads, fresh players to put on the pitch. So I think we'll see big intensity from the first minute, also considering it's a derby and the framing that comes with it. So yeah, very interesting, big Saturday game in the north of France.
And speaking about Champions League race, Sunday evening, the other blockbuster is Monaco at home versus Marseille. And in the race for Champions League football, this will be a crucial one. It will be massive. And it was a super tight match at the Velodrome. I mean, we saw that one, a few refereeing decisions also a bit strange in that one. And I think here, one tricky thing for Marseille is that Greenwood is out for this one. He's missing it. And that's going to be painful. In the back line as well for Marseille, they're missing Aguerd and Balerdi. I'm not sure if you think they are that good either way, but changing stuff up in the back line is always tricky ahead of a top game. But Monaco,
Yeah, I think they go in there as favorites. They have been doing great recently. They've not lost a league game since the 16th of January. Home advantage, great form, as I said. A couple of players, key players in Marseille who will not be able to play, and I'm still not sure if Habib Beye for Marseille is the right person to lead the team forward. So I would say, yeah, I'll put my money on Monaco in this one.
A straight victory for Monaco, and odds favorite, but not huge favorite. So I think that would bring some money into the bank if you back that one.
Yeah, I think Marseille will struggle defensively because Monaco brings so much up front with their pace and quick play, and I don't think the Marseille defensively will be able to keep up with that. So I could see easily Monaco scoring 2-3 goals in this game.
And if Monaco were to win this one, they would actually go up on shared 49 points, same as Marseille. And if Lille would beat Lens, then you can actually have Marseille, depending on what Lyon does as well, outside of Champions League spots, which would be a tough blow, given their chase for Champions League football. We have another one, interesting for the bottom, is Le Havre versus Auxerre. Just want to mention that Auxerre, can they keep winning, Dennis? Can they, after the 3-0 at home?
I mean, I am not too confident, to be honest. I think... or maybe since Le Havre has had quite a bad form recently, maybe they can snatch a point or 3 best case, but I think it's looking quite rough for for the bottom 3 there, to be honest.
And speaking of the bottom 3, you have Metz facing Nantes in the shit show of the weekend. That's gonna be a tough one, and I do think that Nantes is going to grab the victory there. They're going to take this last chance of chasing the clubs above, and with a victory they will go up to 20 points and try to make at least something with a new manager now, make a race for it to stay. That's just another prediction. We also have to mention the weekend starts off with PSG at home versus Toulouse. Jeff, how many percentages do you give Toulouse here?
Not many. I mean, PSG playing as home is almost always a win when it comes to league games, and Toulouse recently, and with the style, with their style and how they play, I can't see how they could be a team that PSG. No, PSG is just gonna win, and I think like how France played towards Brazil and Colombia with players of like Dembélé, Doué. I mean, Doué was great against Colombia. I think Dembélé was good against Brazil as well. Also, I think that just bring them confidence, and also other players as well. So I think PSG is gonna get into a great mode, and they just want to put this game behind them, and then you start focusing against Liverpool 100%.
And that's an interesting take there, that rather than tired legs, it could actually bring confidence being in different environments, still performing the PSG superstars. And I'm very curious to see what 11 players he puts there, Luis Enrique, if he's going to actually bring on Doué and Dembélé straight up. And Kvaratskhelia as well scored a beauty for Georgia. And speaking about performing for their national team, I know, Jeff, you've been waiting to call out the one and only. Czech Republic has gone through to the World Cup, very much thanks to Sulch.
Yeah. So
beating Denmark on penalties yesterday.
Yeah.
So Ligue players actually doing great things out in their national teams. I just want to mention something ahead of PSG Toulouse for you who don't know. I think many of you are aware. You're familiar with the actor Russell Crowe. Australian actor, Gladiator, I think is his most. But you have the footballing version right up there on top in Toulouse, which is Russell Rowe.
Row or grow?
No, Rowe. Yeah, so Canadian Russell Rowe. Do you think that he could pose a threat to the PSG defense?
I mean, I never heard of him. So. I'm just joking. I mean, if you're gonna pose a threat as an attacking player, or as Russell Crowe, I think you have to be a lot better individually to be able to score by yourself against a top team as Paris Saint-Germain. Or if not, you have to have a team that's well played who can together, score, create and score chances. So no, I don't think Russell Crowe is going to score at Parc des Princes.
But I look forward to seeing Russell Rowe in the World Cup because I think he might get some minutes for Canada. And then he might face some different caliber opponents than PSG, of course, because that one I can definitely agree. It will be tricky. But speaking about that, just fun facts. Russell Rowe facing other caliber teams. Have you seen Canada's group in the World Cup?
Let us know.
They have Bosnia-Herzegovina, they have Qatar, and they have Switzerland.
Okay. I thought you were going to say like three really big teams, and then I was thinking like Trump has, done something with this draw to make sure that
US and Canada,
US goes really far, and then he's like, oh, Canada is shit or something like that.
Okay, you mean yeah. No, it seems actually like they have gotten the best possible draw here because
Switzerland, Qatar, and
Bosnia.
It could have been Italy. But,
could have been Italy, and Bosnia is not that bad. But I just think when you look at the different World Cup groups, this is not the strongest one.
But I mean, I had a look at the groups before this and also yesterday. I don't know them all by heart yet, but considering there's 48 teams this year, there's a lot of shit groups. I mean, it's rarely that you have two good teams in a group, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one good team. You have England, France, Spain, Argentina, Brazil, etc. And then you might have, one of those middle tier teams. And then there's just, how can this team be in the World Cup? I mean, that's almost what you have. I like it because I want to have as many days of the World Cup as possible. But I mean, there's a lot of shit teams or
it is,
countries.
I can bring another one for you if you want.
What does Czechia have now then? Sulch and company.
Yeah, Sulch. She will actually face Mexico, South Africa, and South Korea, which is. I mean, that's not super easy with Mexico, I think, and South Korea is a decent footballing nation. South Africa, I don't have the status of the national team. Not the strongest out of Africa.
But then I mean, you never know in the World Cup. I wouldn't be surprised either if Czechia would be like, they are number one out of those four teams. It's an open group.
Yeah, they have Sulch.
That is it for this week. Follow us on social, subscribe, and give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell a football-loving friend. For queries, you're always welcome to reach out at lefootpodcast@gmail.com. Now, have a great week. See you next week. Au revoir.